Welcome to the Startup Show. I'm your host, John Biggs. In every episode of the Startup Show, we talk to an amazing entrepreneur about how they do what they do. We'll explore tactics, tricks, and techniques for building some of the coolest things on the planet. Thanks for listening and enjoy. Welcome back to the Startup Show. I'm John Biggs. Today on the show, we have George Gebhart from Voltu. Welcome, George.
Thank you, John. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So you have an Argentine company here in California now, and you're essentially electrifying the world for EVs. So why don't you tell us about how it all works?
So we're essentially an innovative electric vehicle technology company. What we do is we focus on the powertrain technology, from batteries to motors, drive units, all the power electronics. We develop, test, and validate that technology. And now we're deploying that technology over leveraging and over existing chassis from OEMs, so they can do what they know to do, and we can do what we know to do. That is the electric powertrain technology. That's what we do.
So what does that involve? So you're building out ready-made systems for folks to embed into their own EVs, or like a solution provider, or is it more complex than that?
No, it's the other way around. And I think, and the vision of the company is on how things are changing on the automotive industry is that the powertrain technology and the core electric technology is becoming essential and more important than actually building the whole chassis. So what we do is we purchase those chassis from vendors that are validated OEMs, and we embed our own technology on those chassis to reach our customers directly with our product. So we build the battery packs, battery modules, battery packs with special patents that we have. We build the drive units, so essentially the electric motors and the power electronics. And we have an integrated system that we can deploy over those chassis.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So and you guys are going to build. Are you launching a car? You're launching a truck, right? In 2025.
We are focused on mid-size trucks, tough enough to do whatever they need to do on the field. So we are launching the first Class 3 work truck in the United States. It's going to be a pickup work truck.
Okay. What are some of the challenges of doing this? I mean, obviously, every car manufacturer is thinking about EV. What's your secret sauce that gives you the leg up?
Yeah. So I think you have a bunch of different challenges. The most important one is how to have a battery pack that is robust enough, efficient enough, and with the energy density required to deploy on this vehicle. So we have on our battery system, we can deploy it in between the chassis, in between the rail frames of the vehicle, without modifying the existing chassis. We can deploy a 350 miles range vehicle on Class 3 because we have a battery technology that essentially doubles the energy density of most competition. And we've done that doing immersed cooling technology, and we have the patents on that technology, and that's why I think we can deploy that. On top of that, I think you have a bunch of different challenges, like having four-wheel drive and having enough power to actually do the same, hauling, and to trade the same pounds than the original vehicle. I think that's more challenges that electric vehicle companies are finding nowadays.
Is there any move to retrofit older gas cars with electricity? Is that possible with this scenario?
We have considered going down that road, and we have customers that are willing to actually do the conversions and asking for conversion kits. We're more into new vehicles, and we want to procure the new vehicles and the new chassis from the OEMs and produce with those new chassis. We think and we feel that going down the road of retrofitting is going to be useful, but the true transition is going to happen with new vehicles.
What's the timeline for general EV acceptance? It feels like we're still waiting for mass adoption. What's the moment when we go from, I don't know, in the camera world it used to be analog to digital? What's that moment? What do you think happens there?
Well, I think that what we've been looking at is that you have three different consumption centers for electric vehicles. One, of course, is the United States, that is strong, but it's not changing or transitioning fast enough as is happening in China or in Europe. What we feel is that most of the segments that can be electrified are going to be electrified in the next 10 years, at least the majority of that. And you have a lot of those segments, especially in the commercial vehicles, that you don't have options to purchase right now. So we're still missing companies that can do and can play in that spaces. We cannot rely only on the legacy OEMs for doing that. That's why, and that's where we have our space to play and our segment, launching a vehicle that haven't been even tried before here in the United States. So yeah, I think that the time frame is going to be 10 years from now.
Years, okay, interesting. What's your background in terms of this sort of stuff? You're a bioengineer by training, right?
I'm a bioengineer. I started my career doing research on wheelchairs or semi-autonomous vehicles for handicapped people paired with brain-computer interfaces, and I developed fascination about electric vehicles and electric drives, and founded the company from that point on. So my background is bioengineering, but essentially electronics, power electronics, and anything that has to do with software and embedded software and those power electronics.
Interesting. And what's been the biggest challenge in getting into the EV space?
Well, I think that the challenge is the same for most companies. You need to deploy real hardware. Deploying hardware is hard. You need to manufacture that hardware. You cannot rely on other companies doing that because you need to control your quality of the products. If you don't do that, you're actually out of the business. So I think that the challenge is just going out and doing that manufacturing and involving that much people for doing that is the real challenge. You need to have enough critical mass to do that, and you need to have enough power and money to do that. So all those challenges needs to be combined to actually do it. And we've seen companies going out and raising money, a lot of money, that have gone out of business. Um, you've seen those companies trying to make an electric vehicle in 2 3 years. So
Okay.
electric vehicles are not easy. You need to actually dominate the technology, and that's what we do. We dominate electric vehicle technology. We dominate the powertrain technology. We've been doing this for more than 10 years, not only developing the technology and deploying the technology in different vehicles, but also testing that and validating that in house. At the time that there was no companies able to do it other than yourself. So I think the key is to dominate actually the electric powertrain technology. That's our focus.
And how's fundraising going for you guys? Are you able to raise funds from, because hardware is hard,
Yeah,
right?
we're able to raise funds. We have different bunch of um, you know funds and debt that we can raise right now. That's rolling. I cannot talk too much about it, but yeah, I think that there is funds available for the right things, right? So you need to have the right things, the right team, the right mixture of capacities inside that team, and of course the right plan to market, go to market. But yeah, fundraising is going good.
If somebody wants to enter the space, if somebody wants to, I don't know, not maybe start a company, but basically go join a company, what should they study? What should they try to understand?
You mean for working at
Yeah, I think
the
so. Just if somebody's curious, maybe I'm a mechanic and I want to go work for you guys or Tesla or someone. What should I start
right?
learning as opposed to, I don't know, spark plugs and car and
Right. So I think essentially, if you're a mechanic, you need to go in and try to understand how to, electric vehicles is much less of moving parts and a lot more of static parts that are going in on the vehicle. So for a mechanic, for example, going in on the structure of a battery pack, understanding how it works, and the safety issues and the safety concerns that you need to learn about battery packs, how to combine those modules, the spaces that you need, the structure that you need to sustain that, the flexibility, all that is key for an electric vehicle. And not only on the battery pack, also in the power units, the motors and all that, and the physics about that. And if you are more on the power electronics, everything about inverters, bidirectional inverters in our case, recharging and fast charging vehicles, all that is key for mastering the technology of electric vehicles.
How is the move from how is the move from Argentina to California? How's that going?
That's going well. I think that we started. I'm Argentinian, so I started developing the technology in Argentina. We founded the company in the US in 2015 for a bunch of different reasons, but because actually the US is one of those powerhouse of electric vehicles, and where the market is transitioning faster than in other regions. And coming here to the US, it feels pretty straightforward for me, for the team, for all the people involved. Culturally, we're not that different. So I think that it's coming really straightforward. The reception, the welcoming here in the US is great. So everything's going smoothly, I would say.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, was it difficult legally or difficult to start the company in the US, or did you just basically just do LLC in Delaware and just call it a day?
All we did is we did a C corporation in Delaware. That
Hmm.
was easy. That's not hard. I think that the harder part is, and you can bring the company can bring people if you do it in the right way. I think the reception in the US is great, and you have the mechanism to do that. Maybe you can do it faster, but everything is set up to actually be able to do that in the right way. I think that the harder part is, for certain things, financially, you need to have people actually that are resident in the US. So that transition can take a while, but we're on top of that. So we're actually, past that point and we're okay. But I think that's the hardest part on it all. You need people actually moving here to the US first, and then you kind of start doing things with the company. That's what happens. But that's okay. You need to find the ways on how to do it.
It's an interesting point. The idea that you have to move to the U.S. first uh, to actually get started. It's almost impossible to do it from remotely, right?
It's impossible if you want to operate a manufacturing company, in the US.
Hmm.
You need to set up a lot of different things. You need the property, you need to lease properties, you need to purchase things, you need to finance those purchases. Yeah, you need to actually move to the US first and then start doing it.
Okay, and you're going to be you're going to be launching a car in 2025 or a truck. Anything else coming up on the horizon?
So we're going to be focused on class three work trucks for the next 3 years. The goal is to deploy 20,000 vehicles as soon as possible, and our horizon is that. Then we're going to move probably to lighter trucks and lighter commercial vehicles from that point. But that's 3 4 years from now. Now we're totally focused on the main product that we know there is a gap on the market that is allowing us to go in and have this rapid expansion in the US first, and then we can think on other steps.
Very cool. Well, George, thank you for joining us. This has been pretty interesting. So the website is Voltu, Voltu.com, right? Is that what I looked at?
Voltumotor.com.
Voltu Motor. There we go.
Yeah,
Voltumotor.com.
yeah.
And check it out. I'm looking forward to seeing this truck. Sounds like it's gonna be pretty cool.
Thank you, John. Thank you very much for having me.
All right. This has been the Startup Show. I'm John Biggs. We will see you next episode.